Good evening and welcome to this week's episode of Coaches Corner. My name is Dwayne Dwyer, I go by the Mindset Coach.
My name is the Uncle Junior, and I go by the Consistency Coach.
And we are the coaches for Coaches Corner. As I always tend to say, if you are just looking to watch this episode, get off and go eat potato chips, crack a cold one open and watch TV, then this may not necessarily be the place for you. But if you're looking to get some additional tools to put in your toolkit to become a better version of yourself, not just for yourself, but for the people that you know, love, and care about, so that you guys can collectively be better for your community, then you're in the right place at the right time. In fact, I believe you were destined to be sitting there listening to myself, the Mindset Coach, and my good friend, the Consistency Coach. So with that being said, let me speak to my good friend, the Uncle Junior, Mr. C Squared, the Consistency Coach. How you doing, my friend?
I am doing good, Coach. I'm doing well, enjoying the day, enjoying life, enjoying all the things that are currently going on in my life, man. So I'm doing well. What say you?
I'm
like
good,
that
man.
shirt too.
I mean, I appreciate it. Mindset emotion. You know what I'm saying?
Mindset emotion. I like it.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. All is well on this end. Like you just mentioned, the shirt is indicative of a new program I'm rolling out. I'm just excited. Again, excited about those things, excited about other things, excited about some forward momentum that I'm seeing rolling. So yeah, man, all is well. I don't have a reason to complain, and you know how we say, even if I did, I don't think nobody want to hear it anyway. So yeah, man.
It's true, unless they getting paid for it. And there's a place for them people.
Exactly,
So,
exactly.
yeah, man. I'm excited about today's topic. This kind of, we are winding down the year, and what a lot of people like to do is they start, thinking about putting a plan in place. And in January, here in another month and a half or so, a lot of people are going to go off there and they're going to have these brand new goals that they're going to start setting. And some people are going to set the same goal that they had for the last X amount of years. So with that being said, I just kind of wanted to talk a little bit about, the goals, you know what I mean? Because a lot of times I don't think it's the goal. I think sometimes it's just the system or other different things that stop people from reaching their goals. I do think that there is a place for the goal, not what I'm trying to say. I think there are times where the goal is the problem, but I don't want to necessarily speak to that. I want to speak to when the goal is not the problem and it's something else besides it, versus, because sometimes people may set the goal too high or they may set the goal too low. But this is just saying that if said person or persons have a goal set, but it's not the goal, they work with whoever, or maybe they got the right goal, but it's something else that's keeping them from achieving it. So that's kind of where I want to start with, and kind of how I want to start today's conversation and where all of this came from. So as we continue, I also want to give a shout out to Lavish Chat and YouTube. We definitely appreciate everybody for being here Tuesday night, 7 p.m. There are a lot of things that could be done. A couple more days, people can start eating turkey, and people can start, visiting family and all of those different things like that. So again, we definitely appreciate everybody for being here. It is, we are kicking off the holiday season. A lot of people are going to be doing a bunch of different things. So again, 7 p.m. Tuesday. All y'all still here. So we definitely appreciate y'all. So while you're here, go ahead and hit that like button, share, subscribe, all of those different things. Woo, off good now. Everything good over there?
Yeah, man, I'm ready. Let's get into it.
All right, man. Let's get into it. So I'm gonna start off with a small monologue, and then I'm gonna go with a little short story. All right. So every year, people write out goals with a whole bunch of excitement. Fitness goals, money goals, life goals, all of those different things. Once the calendar turns, they fall right back into the same routines, habits, and environments that failed them the year before. It's not that the goal was too big, it's the system wasn't strong enough to support it. A goal is just a destination. Your system is the vehicle. Tonight, we're going to show you how to fix the vehicle so you can finally reach the destination. So, if any of y'all have listened to Coach a little bit, whether it is here or whether it is on Hearts of Men on Friday night, 8 p.m. Standard Time, you may know about Tiffany and Tyrone. So I am going to start today's. Did I get the shows wrong? Did I get the names wrong?
Tamika.
Tamika. All right. So, well, for today, I'm going to, I thought for some reason I was thinking it was Tiffany when I was writing it down. So I used Tiffany. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to change it in here to Tamika. Let me go back real quick because if not, when I read it, I'm going to get it wrong. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is a small scenario of Tiffany, excuse me, Tamika and Tyrone. I wrote it down. All right. So, in my story about Tamika and Tyrone, here we go. Tamika and Tyrone are both 23, married, young, and raising an energetic 3-year-old son named Malachi. All right. So, Tiffany stayed home full time, pouring her house. Let me back up. Tiffany's a stay-at-home mom who pours her energy into the home and their child, while Tyrone have just been promoted in the Army, promoted to E5. With the promotion, Tiffany became excited about upgrading their life, new baby items, stylish decor, and a nicer car she felt their growing family deserved. Tyrone, meanwhile, that Tyrone felt the weight of new responsibility and wanted to start saving, investing, and building their faith, and including improving their family's overall wellness. One night after Malachi fell asleep, they sat down and talked through their dreams and priorities. Tamika admitted she wanted the upgrades because she needed to feel like she was contributing and keeping up. Tyrone explained he wanted long-term stability more than quick upgrades. By the end of the conversation, they crafted a simple plan: limited spending, start saving a percentage of every check, building routines and strong faith in wellness, and chose one car that fit the budget. For a little while, things seemed to move in the right direction. They were more intentional with money and mindful spiritually, and even started a small Sunday routine together. Both felt proud that they were finally building something instead of just reacting to life. But 6 months later, their progress had stalled. Purchases slowly crept in, surprises drained their savings, wellness routine faded, and the plan they've created began collecting dust. Neither felt like they were hitting the goals they agreed, leaving them unsure of what needed to change next. Coach, that's my story. That's the scenario that we're going to kind of start this conversation on with. So we're going to be talking a little bit about Tamika and Tyrone and Malachi. All right. So a couple things we're going to start off with. We're going to start off with a couple of definitions. Go quick ones. They are more than welcome to be adjusted a little bit how you may so fit. So a goal is a desired outcome you want to achieve. Your what? System, daily habits, routine, and processes that support the goal. Your how. And then one of these other things is a structural weak point, the part of your system that consistently makes you fall. Before I go any further, Coach, before I ask the first question, is there anything else you want to adjust to these definitions or anything you want to say about the scenario with Tamika, Tyrone, and Malachi?
Tamika and Tyrone is destined to fail. I'm joking.
Uh-oh.
I'm good. No, you good.
Everything's good?
Yeah, man, I'm good.
All right. So here we go. First question of the night. Why do people often blame the goal instead of examining their system? Why do people often blame the goal instead of examining their system?
Simple. Blaming is a lot easier to do than examining. I think a lot of people are conditioned to blame. If I examine the system, that means that I'm taking responsibility for the system that I put in place. If I blame the goal, then I'm kind of shunning responsibility in that. Like blaming is always wrong. It doesn't matter what we talk about in relation to it. So it's easier to blame the goal, and then what ends up happening kind of goes back to what you said initially. What ends up happening is that we move the goal from being up here to down here. because this is easier to obtain. I don't have to do a lot of work in relation to it. I don't have to devote a lot of time, energy, and effort to it. It's easier that way. And therefore, now I can do that and still live my best life. So I'm not necessarily making any changes. I'm just changing the goal so it requires less of me.
Mm, I definitely agree with that. That's kind of the same thing I was thinking about is, I mean, like I said, excuse me, it's easier to blame somebody else than to put the responsibility on me. And like you said, you was talking about, adjusting the goal. And I think that can definitely have a lot in it. So since we're on the same sheet of music about this, I ain't going to add too much to it. I'm just going to scroll on down to the next question. Um, what are some signs that someone's system is blocking their success? What are some signs that someone's system is blocking their success?
Well, I think before we get to that, I
Mm-hmm.
think we need to go back and look at what a system is and how you implement the system. Right?
Mm.
Like you said, a system is the how. It's the thing that has been established in order to create, generate, or produce a particular outcome. And you look at a number of different things within the scope of that system where human interaction requires a thing, where machine interaction requires a thing, whatever the case may be. And before I implement said system, I'm supposed to beta test it, which means that I do a test and see how it performs. Does it perform the way that I want it to perform? Right. And in the midst of gauging the efficacy of the system, I now be able to identify where human error was the flaw if it did not perform the way I wanted it to perform, or was it machine error that was the flaw? If it was machine error, then I got to go back to where human injected the data in the machine to perform the way it is, or fix the machine, or whatever that looks like. So now, in doing all of these things before implementing the system, now I have to beta test it. I beta test it to see not only does it perform the way I want it to perform, but I got the outcome that I expected from the system, given the fact that human actually injected the necessary level of work into the system for it to work.
Mm.
Now, what are some signs that someone's system is blocking their success? The system doesn't perform the way I expected it to perform. So, is it the system or is it my expectations? Should I regulate my expectations if I have done all of the things that I need to do to beta test my system, right? Is it really the system that is blocking, or is it my perception or perspective of success, right? Because I
Mm-hmm.
think a lot of times where we believe the system itself is blocking my perspective, or blocking my achievement of success, it's not the system that is wrong. I just have a faulty perspective of success. So when I go back and I look at the system, right? Well, go back and reevaluate my perspective of success. Now I get to look at my expectations and manage my expectations. Then I can look at the system through a objective eye, not a subjective eye, looking to blame any aspect of the system, right? So now I objectively look at the system. So now it's like the system is the system, right? I hate to say it that way. The system is the system. So now when I look from a lens of objectivity, now I can adjust where the blockage exists in the system if there is one.
Um, I like that. I can't I cannot think about the military when I think about this question and when we're talking about systems. And every as far as I know, the military, when we came in, there was a system in order, there was an APFT system or there was a PT system in place, whatever they be. Maybe with 13 Bravos, there's a certain system, 15 Quebecs, depending on where you went, there's a system. But there's also a system. I remember what the regulation was. Was it 2120 or something like that? They had all of the PT and all of that stuff in. I can't think about. I think that may be what it is. But there was a system in place, sustainment training, all these different types of training that you do if you want soldiers or whatever to whatever you want to call it, pass the APFT or to stay physically fit, right? But while we were in, certain units maybe would work out 3 days a week, certain would work out 4 or 5, certain would do light PT, certain would do PT, certain people with units would do PT in the inside. And with all of these different systems up under the one system, you saw people of different fitness levels. We still had people who did not main within the standards of the military when it came to their weight and when it came to their their fitness level or being their ability to be able to pass the APFT. So with everything that you said and even with this question, was that the system? Was it the people implementing the system? Was it the people? You know what I'm saying? So like we had the system. Me and you was in the same system. Me and you, from what I know, we was able to maintain and stay within the regulations of that system the entire time. We also know people who were not able to. We know people who may have been chaptered out of the military for one or both of these issues. So in this situation, how did we know that the system is blocking someone's success, right? Can we say that the military or the army APFT system was blocking someone's success? Or is that individual and or the people who were implementing the system?
So this is kind of like goes back to what I was talking about the system.
Mm-hmm.
When you look at the system, i.e., the system that you're making mention of,
Mm-hmm.
you have to consider throughput, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then when you look at throughput, you also have to consider deficiencies. This is where Lean Six Sigma has made a whole lot of money over the years, because when I look at however many entries or however many um, widgets, I call it that, however many widgets the system produced, how many deficiencies were produced in the midst of however many widgets that I'm gauging. So if I'm looking at 1,000 widgets, if my probability, if my error of probability ratio is 3%, then literally for every 100 it's going to be 3, for every 1,000 it's going to be 30. So that's the thing. So is 30 an acceptable risk tolerance for 1,000? Yes. So if I pump 1,000 soldiers through the system, if I got 30 who get chaptered out because of weight loss, I think I'm winning if I maintain 970.
Mm.
Right? I think that's what we have to look at. That is a good system. That is, I hate to say it this way, that is a good system. For the 30 people who did not make it and they got chaptered out for failure to adapt, that doesn't say that they're bad people. That just say that for whatever reason they could not maintain the standard. That could be
Mm-hmm.
because of some medical concerns. That could be because of injuries. It could be for a number of different things. It does
Mm-hmm.
not identify that they are, as most people tend to say, that they're just fat. No, that's not always
Mm-hmm.
true, right?
Or lazy.
Right, or lazy. So, but is that some of that included in? Sure, it's a number of different things included in there. So when you look, that's why I say you have to understand the system that you're creating. Look at human injects, and then look at machine inject, and then look at where the probability of error exists in the throughput. That was the last part I added to it. If the percentage is low, that's 2 thumbs up, right? But if my percentage is 30%, now we got an issue. Now we got a concern we got to look at. Why am I at a 30% probability of error when now that means that we're going to lose a lot of good people? Maybe my system is too rigorous. Maybe my system is too stressful. Does the, as we used to say, is the juice worth the squeeze overall? So now we got to look at all of those things. Is it a system thing? Is it a output thing, throughput thing? Like, does the throughput measure to the thing of success? So we have to decide success first before the system is injected. I know a lot of times what we want to believe, and I'm moving away from the Army's perspective of the thing, right? Or just bring it along. It'll work. We believe a lot of systems are plug and play.
Mm.
So I can take a system, leadership development system. It is a system. And I can take that and bring it to physical fitness realm. Plug and play. Does it work? Sure.
Mm.
Absolutely. It
Mm-hmm.
absolutely can work. I guaranteed I did it. It absolutely can work. It just doesn't look like it on the outside. But that's just because I am thinking about it from a plug and play thing, plug and play concept. Now, would it work better if I make adjustments to the system that I pulled from leadership development over? Absolutely, it would. It will also look better if I combine systems. It will also look better if I take a system and totally revamp it. It all depends on what we're trying to achieve and how we're trying to achieve it. That's why I say when we start talking about systems, success needs to be clearly identified first. And I think a lot of times what we don't do, whether it's the goal or whether it's the system, we don't clearly identify success. Therefore, either the goal is a failure or the system is a failure. So I'm gonna blame this one, I'm gonna blame this one, but in all actuality, there might be this thing called success over here.
I I'm rocking with you on that, and I think that's something that's not talked about enough. We don't talk about what success looks like. Like when you broke that down, and I'm thinking about it. I'm like, man, I got 3 people in my platoon who ain't making height and weight, or who ain't passing the APFT. I'm like, we got 60 dudes. So in a sense, maybe that is a successful system. Maybe it is working. Like you said, there's always going to be outliers and stuff like that. There are always going to be people who just not going to be able to maintain for whatever reason. But I don't think that we talk enough about, or people, including myself, know enough about what success looks like in a system. We say, oh, we're this successful. So I'm thinking, if I write down a PT plan for a soldier, or if I create one for myself, I'll keep it here. If I create one for myself and I say, well, I'm doing 30 days, I'm doing 6 days a week, what is success? Most of the time, people are not going in saying, okay, what is success looks like? What does success look like? Does success look like a lot of S's in here? Look like being able to hit 24 days, I think that's right. 6 times 4, yes. Does that 24 does 24 look like success? Or am I going to say at the end of the day, at the end of the day, if you get 22 of those 24 days, that's considered successful, because something may come up. You may have to go out of town, you may have to do this. But I think sometimes we don't identify what success looks like while or before we or during the goal setting process. So definitely like the fact that you hit on that and highlighted that, because I don't think that that's talked about enough. So this question is for us and is for the chat. So the question is this. Let me take this off. All right, so here's the question for the chatting coaches. Who or what keeps breaking your systems, or used to break your system? Because I'm not going to say that coach probably don't have no systems, you know what I mean? His ain't breaking or whatever like this, but I'm sure at some point there was a point in his life where his systems may have been broken. So coach, to you, and it's the chat too, who or what keeps breaking your systems, or who or what used to break your system?
Practice.
Practice
Breaks the system. That's what's designed to do. Like I go back to what I was saying about beta testing. Beta testing, another way of saying beta testing is practice. So when I put it into place, the only thing I just don't do, and this is okay, I say it like this: if you get it, you get it. The only thing I don't do is share with people what I'm practicing. I might be practicing the thing. Okay, I'll give you a perfect example. I might be practicing the thing on a podcast. You don't know I'm practicing the thing, but at the end of the day, I am not only practicing, I am beta testing it at the same time. I am getting responses from it also. Now, do they know I'm practicing? No. Are they being served through the beta test? Absolutely. Corporate America does it all the time. It's called a market search analysis. They do a market search analysis. They put something out there for people to take a look at and see whether they like, see what the response is to it. If the response lines up with what their expectation is, then they put the thing out there authentically in reality, so that, those people who responded can actually get the thing.
Mm.
Chick-fil-A did it too. They're standing in the mall. They had them little chicken bite. Take this little chicken bite. Yeah, they wanted to see if you like it. And you're like, oh,
Uh-huh.
this is really good. Great, let's make some of that. Then that's what it is. So what keeps breaking your system? The fact that you're not getting the response that you were looking for.
Mm.
So is it really breaking the system though? Or is it really giving you data that you need to fix the system that was already broken?
Mm. I automatically assumed that you was going to go with you. You. I'm the one who keeps breaking the system. So now that I have that space, that's what I'm going to go with. I'm going to go with me because I thought that's what you was going to go with. I was like, Coach gonna get them. I was like, man, what am I gonna come up with? But I'm definitely glad you went there. But I think sometimes it's me. Now, I think sometimes I'm the one who break my system. I think it's kind of like, in a sense, a little bit like the goals is that either I don't know how to effectively use the system, either I am not informed enough on the system. But I think that sometimes the buck stops with me and the fact that what am I doing to making sure what is my role in the system. And I think sometimes we like to talk about with the accountability piece. I think sometimes we don't always look at our systems in detail, and like I say, I don't know if everybody really beta test them. I didn't always beta test every single thing. I'm just like, all right, well, I'm gonna put this thing into play and I'm just going to do it. And to your other point about the military, it was certain things that I just automatically brought over. Just some systems I automatically brought over. Didn't tweak them, didn't adjust them, do anything. I'm just like, man, you know what? Plug and play. Take this system and put it right over to here. I'm gonna take this military leadership system and I'm gonna plug it right into the elementary school. Don't work like that. Can't even talk to the kids the same way I do. I can't use the same system on everybody. When I was, working with clients in fitness and stuff, I can't, all of those things didn't necessarily transfer over, so definitely I see it as part of this question is sometimes I'm the issue. Sometimes I'm the reason why my system is broken.
But see, now I'm hearing something different.
Okay.
I'm not hearing that the system is broken. I'm hearing that the system is experiencing user error.
That too. Yeah, user error.
Right. That's that. And so,
Mm-hmm.
and again, no shade. No, it's a bad thing
Yeah.
to identify. Right.
Mm-hmm.
I go back to the whole cross contamination of systems. System.
Mm-hmm.
Can I take a system out of leadership development and implement it into physical activity? Right. Most people would say no. But for people who not only know that you can, but actually implement it, they're considered to be innovative. So it's not really the systems that's why I said practice breaks the system.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Going back to your example about the Army physical fitness system. That's what I'm gonna call it for now, right? And they've had several push up, sit up, run, PRT, and whatever the devil they're doing right now, right? Well, as a master fitness trainer, I knew PRT like the back of my hand. And when I went to master fitness school, you had 10 minutes of instructions, 50 minutes of exercise. That was the system. But at the end of that class, you came out of there not only knowledgeable of PRT, the different phases of PRT, but you looked like a physical fitness, a physical fitness trainer. You literally look like that. So was that a broke system? No, it wasn't. It was a system that learned and you practice it at the same time. Why did they do that? So that you can go back to your units and teach what they're teaching you there. And this was doing an era that they had not adopted PRT Army wide yet. So we were like the first people going to our units, and people like, oh, they don't want to do that mess. We got
Mm-hmm.
QNSR we got to do, and QTB and stuff like that. And those acronyms just equate to briefings that you had to give the higher echelon that looked at stats and things of that nature. So was the system broke? No, it just took policy letters to say you will do this. So when they said you will do this, guess what they turned to? A master fitness trainer, come in, let me talk to you for a second. So now I need for you to implement the system that they taught you. Well, you implement the system, and again, it's plug and play at this point. You bring the system there, and you take it here, and you just plug in a few people here, and make it work. Because the master fitness trainer is not supposed to be the one doing it. They're supposed to be
Mm-hmm.
the one who's teaching it. So they oversee it from that point on, and they work right. They become the commander's right hand man. So now, or right hand person. I'm sorry. So now you're ensuring that it's implemented accurately, not only in real time, but also in the training development aspect of it as well. So I'm not. Let me say it this way. I'm not too quick to say that a system is broke, right? But I am quick to say the first level of error in a system is human entry. Humans with biases, fallacies, and all that other great stuff, humans will taint the information or their
Mm.
implementation of their aspect of the system, making you believe that the system is broke.
Moving right along. That was, yep. Mm. The system gonna do what the system gonna do. Okay. Moving along, ladies and gentlemen. Would you rather, coach? Would you rather? All right. I ain't got a whole bunch of them. I only got a couple, I think. So the first would you rather is this. Would you rather wake up early or stay up late to reach your goals?
Wake up early.
Wake up early. Would you rather remove distractions or add more discipline?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
It's one and the same. Discipline removes distractions.
Yes. No, you're right. I'm trying to see if I can remove this. It takes discipline to remove the distractions. I like it. Would you rather track your progress daily or weekly?
Yes. I mean,
I knew after the last one, I was gonna get the same response on this one.
right. Yes. I think sometimes people, for the sake of their own psychological health, don't want to track progress daily.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, if I track progress weekly and I'm off my path, say it that way, then I'm going to end up backtracking to see where did I go wrong in my weekly assessment of what I'm tracking.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, it's one and the same. You can track it daily or you can track it weekly. A good way to track it daily is that did I do the things that I said I was going to do today? Yes. We call those what do you call them? Task charts, whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
I got because you said you used to do them all the time. I had like 10
Yeah.
things I want to do today. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, that's great, right?
Checklist.
So, checklist. There you go. That's what I'm looking for. So did you check off all the things on your checklist? Yes. Okay, great. Next day, right?
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the week, did I accomplish the goals that I expected to accomplish by week end? Yes, yes, no. Okay. The one I did not accomplish, no. Go back and see where I missed the mark. I didn't do this on Wednesday. Well, if I checked it on Wednesday, I probably could have worked a little longer to ensure that I did it on Wednesday or whatever. Like it's a number of different ways to look at this. That's why
Mm-hmm.
the answer is yes.
Yeah. I if for work I have to do a weekly data collection. And just speaking from experience, it has always been more effective when I did it daily, because it asks, how many students you saw, yada yada yada, just a bunch of different things. And then at the end of the year, the goal is to take all of that data and see what areas in your school needed the most support for that year, which areas needed the least amount of support. So that way, during the summer and going forward next year, maybe the areas that need a lot of support, I can focus on, I can create a system or put something in place to help support those areas that are in high demand. And maybe I don't need to spend as much time in doing X, Y, and Z because they only come up periodically. So for me, it's definitely easier for some things to do them daily because I have to, there was an expectation to do a weekly report. And the same thing, everything you said too. Would you rather have a small system that works or a big plan you can't maintain?
As odd as this going to sound, the answer is yes.
Okay.
The big plan is not meant for you to maintain. The big plan is the goal. But the
Mm,
small system in that big plan is what you're responsible for. So the answer is yes.
I see what you did. I like that. I like that. That was y'all missed it. That's the second one. Hopefully it didn't go over y'all head. Would you rather sacrifice comfort or sacrifice consistency?
Yes.
Nothing wrong with I don't mind sacrificing a little comfort because sometimes it's not comfortable.
But this is the thing. If
Mhm,
I am going to, well, okay, so let me back up. Not yes. If I am going to have a degree of consistency, I have to first understand what I'm being consistent about. I can be
mhm,
consistent about being comfort. It's called
mhm.
comfort zone, right? But if I am striving toward a lofty goal, then I'm going to actually have to have a level of consistency, which requires me to sacrifice comfort. So the answer is sacrifice comfort.
Mhm. Yeah, I like that.
But
Now, go
but
ahead. But,
but
however, but
but there is also a level of consistency that I'm going to have to sacrifice anyway.
yeah,
Because what people don't necessarily realize is that your level of consistency equates to a new comfort zone.
mm, yep, yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, that just hit. That took a minute. It took a minute, but I got it now. So one of the things is sometimes that we building systems or sometimes we need to just start all over from scratch, as someone will say, start from scratch. And some people may not need to start all over, but let's say a person gets to the point in their life whereas they need to rebuild their entire system. How can someone rebuild the system without feeling overwhelmed? I think that F word is gonna it may have something to do with this question.
Sure, I think the F word has a lot to do with the question,
Mm-hmm.
but so does reality.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of times, as it pertains to this question, a lot of us live in a version of reality that we created for ourselves that has nothing to do with the version of reality that we're supposed to exist in. Now, let me be clear when I say that, because you have reality and then you have your constructed reality, right? One has to yield to the other, one has to become aware of the other. But that's a whole nother conversation that equates to this. Because here's the problem: some people don't want to rebuild their system because in their version of reality they think their system is working for what they want to achieve, but they have no relevant information that says that their system is working. If y'all miss it, just go look at the dating scene, it'll come full circle. However, how can? By humbling yourself and recognize that you may not necessarily be equipped. Y'all heard me speaking Spanish just now. You may not
Mm-hmm.
necessarily be equipped to create the system that you're trying to create for the outcome that you're trying to achieve. That is a level of humility that I believe a lot of people struggle with because they feel like it's my goal, it's this, it's that. It's, let's be honest, your goal, going back to what you said previously about goal, your goal might not be a goal. Your goal by itself may just, I don't know, if I'm being completely honest with you, it may just simply be a substep to the goal. So is it the system that you're trying to use to get to your version of a goal when the system that you're using is trying to cast you beyond your version of the goal? The system ain't broke, your goal broke.
Mm.
Okay, so cool. Got it. So let me increase my goal. And now let me build the system to reach my goal. But here's the deal: if you really understand what goals are, the goals that you actually have that are real life goal, like really goals, you're not equipped to create the system for it. That's why you can't build it. You'll fail and fail and fail, and you'll gain some level of success, but you're going to have to humble yourself to recognize that I can't do this by myself. I need somebody to help me with the system. Why? Because the goal is too lofty for me. If it's not too lofty for you, it's not a goal, it's a task.
I like when you said you may need somebody to help you with that, because we're gonna come back around to that. Definitely come back around to that. Um, Let me see. How can someone rebuild a system without feeling overwhelmed? I think one thing is something you talked about earlier, and that's understanding when you talked about the 1,000 and the 30, understand what success in the system looks like. I think sometimes, when we build these systems, 'cause I look at the way in my mind, I'm looking at someone who has a system, right? Their system right now, I'm just going to use for losing weight is, I'm cutting out all carbs, and I'm only going to eat carrots for the next week or for the next 6 months or whatever like that. So that's the system that they have in place, because they read someone and they had the watermelon diet or the carrot diet or whatever it is like that. So that whatever it is, that's the system, right? So that's what they've been doing. And now they give some more information. They say, you know what? That system was broke. You know what I mean? Just only eating carrots wasn't the right system for me. I didn't realize that I need to move my body, that I need to factor in, maybe macros and macros, carb intake, types of level of fitness. And now someone is like, man, I got to do all of this. I didn't know I had to do all of this. And they can be I've seen people be overwhelmed when I have given them a meal plan or a workout plan, even after we've had a bunch of conversations on it. And that, oh man, I got to have my whatever, and they're overwhelmed and they don't know if they can do it. And so and that's kind of what I want you to kind of go back to, is what about those people who see that and they have that overwhelming feeling because they've never, for whatever reason, they may have had a life altering experience. They may have had, got diagnosed with diabetes or something like that. And now they're overwhelmed because they have to build a system. So to that person, how do you answer this question when it comes to someone like that?
Same way I just did. Because
Okay.
you literally articulated everything I just said. You literally said you created the system for them.
Uh-huh.
Right. So that's what I just said. Like
Oh yeah, somebody else.
right. That's it. That's the answer. Like
Uh-huh.
I can't make this up. Like I know
Mhm.
when some people hear this is like, well, I don't believe that's true. That's fine. You're entitled to believe whatever you want to believe. Keep doing what you've been doing for the past 10, 15 years and see if that gets you to where you want. It's lunacy.
Mhm.
That's what Albert Einstein's saying. Doing the same thing over and over and over again, expecting a different outcome is lunacy. Even if I'm the person that makes the change of the thing that I'm doing, I'm still the person that created the problem that I'm trying to overcome. It doesn't change. I don't care whether
Mhm.
we're talking physical fitness. I don't care whether we're talking leadership development. I don't care if we're talking finances. There are there are belief systems, right? Fallacies and biases that everybody have. Even with the articulation of all of that, I've did less with
Mhm.
more. I'm sorry, I've done more with less. I've
Mhm.
literally created a workout plan back when I used to do it. I've literally created a workout plan that it consisted of three things. And if you did that three things in 90 days, I listen, never fail. Not one person fail. I don't care
Mhm.
if you had I don't care if you were diabetic. I don't care. Didn't matter what your issue was. I had a young lady who had issues with cartilage in her knee. No joke. Right? Three things. You do these three things and it works. Guarantee. Now, everybody waiting on me to tell you what them three things is. I ain't gonna do it. I'm not gonna do it.
Pay
But
for
but,
that.
but here's the thing. I know they work. Not only do they work from a psychological perspective, but it works scientifically. And if I'm not combining those things together, then at the end of the day, I mean, you'll do what I tell you to do for the time that I'm with you. But what happens when I leave and move on to another client and you've achieved your goal and our relationship is done? Are you the person who can continue it? Probably not, because you were the person who created before. That's why when you see, and since we're talking about this, people who go get those surgeries, I mean, to God be the glory. But there's also a change in habits. There's also a change in psychology that has to happen. Sure, there is the carrot on the stick that you witnessed, that you experienced because of the surgery, but then there has to be the change behavior that goes along with it. And there lies the problem. I'm not saying that you can't do it. I'm just saying that that's the hill to climb. This wasn't the hill. This
Mm-hmm.
wasn't even the hill in the beginning. That's the part. So we went and we spent money to do this for the aesthetics of the thing, but the aesthetics can't maintain itself. It has to be the change in the mindset and the habit, the behavior. Once I change the mind and the behavior, then next thing you know, this happens.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I say someone else has to build the system. And if I can't get somebody else to build the system, now it's like, okay, I'll make these small adjustments. That's cool. I'm doing this differently. Okay, great. I'm doing this differently. Okay, great. I can, man, let me tell you something. There's so many people just in this arena alone that we're talking about. And I can even say the same thing over here in the personal growth and development side as well.
Mm-hmm.
So many people say, man, I'm doing this differently now. I'm doing this differently. Okay, awesome. I'm proud of you. Cool. 7 months later, how's that thing working out for you? Oh man, I got tired of doing that. Okay, cool. My answer didn't change. Okay, cool. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
cool. Because it's not
Okay,
like you
cool.
didn't, it's not like you didn't know where you could go to get help. You
Mm-hmm.
just didn't want the help because at the end of the day, something mattered to you more than the other. Let me say it again. Something mattered to you more than the other. What is the something? The value of that 8 hours that you spend at work a day. That mattered more than you than the outcome that you wanted. And as long as that matters more to you than the outcome that you wanted, there's no way in the world you will sacrifice this for the outcome because the outcome isn't that important. The outcome might be, of some importance, but that 8 to 5, what you make on that 8 to 5, that values more. So I read so for that person, they refuse to pay for something that can literally 10x what they spend out simply because they have not made the mental transition that this is far more important to me than this. And when I'm saying this right now, I'm not just talking about I'm not talking about weight loss. I'm talking about everything. I'm talking about a changed perspective, a changed mindset, a changed reality. That's the thing I'm talking about. And the sad part about it is that everything else is always a microcosm of one thing. So we can talk about weight loss, we can talk relationship, we can talk all that other great stuff, but it all starts in one place and one place alone. And if I don't invest in that mindset, if I don't invest in that, everything else gonna suffer.
Yep.
I might have success over here in this arena. Okay, what about the rest? My bad, I got a little long-winded, bro.
No. That was good because finances and all this stuff fall up under them categories. That mindset, all of those things that you mentioned. Rapid fire. You ready?
Let's do it.
All right. Now, with the rapid fire questions, they can be you can respond as they are personal or a broader audience. Maybe what you see on social media or whatever like that. Don't necessarily have to be specific to you. And the reason why is because I know the chat gonna be in here a little bit. I think they might like these. So here we
Sure.
go. First rapid fire question is this: what's breaking your systems faster, procrastination or TikTok?
Procrastination.
Procrastination. Ooh, I didn't think you can go. I thought you can go with TikTok.
TikTok
Not
can't,
necessarily you.
yeah, TikTok can't be blamed for what you're doing.
Ooh, that part right there. What is harder, building a habit or saying no to late night snacks?
Yes.
Man, what's harder for me? Saying no to late night snacks.
No, I'm just saying yes, because building a habit is hard. Saying no to late night snack is a habit.
Yeah. I be late night snacking over here. If discipline were a person, would they trust you or block you?
I mean, me, I would say trust.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I like that. Which one sneaks up on you faster, excuses or DoorDash?
Definitely. Me, DoorDash.
DoorDash.
Me, I'm not going to the store for nothing, bro.
There we go.
Yeah.
What's your most dangerous phrase? I'll start Monday or I deserve a treat.
I don't think either one of those are most dangerous phrase. For me.
Mhm.
But if I had to pick one, it would be I'll start money because I hate the word deserve. I hate when humans start talking about what they deserve.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't even know how to answer that one. I
Right.
probably just say no or yes. um, if your system had a soundtrack, would it be gospel, trap, or elevator music?
It'll be a mix, the perfect remix between elevator music and gospel.
Ooh, that might be good. No trap
Gospel.
music.
Nah, no trap. I don't bees in the trap these days.
Bees in the trap. If your habits were employees, would you promote them or fire everybody?
I fire everybody every month.
Mm, every month?
Every month.
Every month.
Yep.
So you evolving or coming up with new habits every month?
Well, I'm saying I would fire everybody every month so that I can keep creating new habits.
Gotcha. I like that. All right, so I got that was the last one of them. I appreciate those. I like those rapid fires. I'm trying
Okay.
to. I got
Let me back up. Maybe not every month. Maybe every year. Every month might have
okay.
been too aggressive. So maybe
Okay.
I could be talked down.
All right. So I'm gonna go back to. I thought I had another question. Okay, here we go. I found them. What is something most people do not understand about goal setting?
Goal setting.
Mm.
That stands for goal setting. Most people don't understand. Like, there's a version of information that you'll find on the internet that talks to you about goal setting. And that information teaches you how to teach, like what I tend to call rudimentary goals. And you will set a rudimentary goal and you'll find online, you say, oh, you got to make them smart. Yeah. Let's make them smart. Okay, so let's make them smart, right? You can't say smart goals without having a dumb voice, right? So let's make them
Mm.
smart. So you'll make your smart goals. And then it's like, okay, well, what is your goal? Well, my goal is to get a degree in underwater basket weaving. Okay. That's your goal. That's not a goal. That's a task. That is a task. The issue is that we call stuff like that a goal. So what we don't understand about goal setting is that we don't understand goals, let alone how to set them. So understanding what a goal is, and then understanding how to set that goal, and then understanding how to implement that goal, right? And that all of that together is problematic. And so again, internet gives us information. We use that internet and we be like, oh yes, I'm setting new goals. I'm growing. But your growth looks like that because you don't know how to set goals. And so you're experiencing these changes throughout time and space, but what you're not necessarily realizing that these changes that you're experiencing throughout time and space is because the earth is rotating on its axis. It is the evolution of your existence. You're going to change regardless. I can't stress that piece enough. By simply like, okay, I give you an external factor, right? Because
Okay.
I break factors down into two, right? You have contributing factors and you have oh god, what's the other one? Contributing factors and I'm drawing a blank, but it's external. Okay, got it. I hate that I forget. I'm forgetting it right now. My mind is going blank. But anyway, an external factor to you should not be the reason why you can or you cannot. I'll say it again. An external factor to you should not be the reason why you can and cannot. However, comma, pay close attention to how much and how often people talk about the external influence on their particular desired outcome. Well, that's evidence that you don't know anything about goal setting. Because if I set goals, guess what's not in my goal achievement system? External factors.
Mm.
So if external factors are not in my goal achievement system, how is it that external factors contributed to the failure of my goal? They didn't. You just want to blame the external factor to give you a reason to quit. 9 times out of 10, when you created the goal, you decided to quit when you started. I'm gonna give this a try.
Mm.
So
Now that
that's yeah. So that's why I say, most people do not understand goal setting, and because they don't understand goal setting, um, they struggle with achieving them.
yeah. I think to add to that, I think sometimes people don't understand the process of it. Like once the goal has been set, the implementation and the tracking of whatever the goal is, because it's just like, there may be a goal to do something at the end of the year to get all this information, but if I'm not tracking it, I think because of life, sometimes depend on what the goal is, the tracking sometimes it can seem tedious. It can seem, you can forget certain things. Like I said, depend on what the goal is, and you can kind of slip those things. So like for me, I kind of want to, I think that some of it is the implement. People don't necessarily know how to implement certain goals, because like you said, if people are not understanding how to set goals or what goal setting is, then I would assume that the implementation and the tracking of this, people know even less about. That's what I'm thinking. So that would be my 2 cents on this part.
Yeah, I just remember what the other one was. It's
Okay.
determining. Right, two
Mm.
factors that influence an outcome: contributing factor and determining factor. A lot of times, what we want to do is blame a contributing factor as being the determining factor for the outcome. That's not true. There's always a determining factor, regardless of the contributing factor. The contributing factor has the potential to influence, but if I focus on my determining factors, I don't allow the contributing factor to become that much of an influence of the outcome.
Mm. I like that. Yeah, and that's what it seemed like. A lot of movies are written about that, and people make a lot of money off those. And they say, little John came from nothing. He didn't have nothing, and he made it, and he became all of this. So there was a whole bunch of contributing factors and different things like that to win in to little John. Being raised like this, not having this, going through this X, Y, and Z, but then he still was able to, reach certain goals of wanting to be, a trash man or a lawyer or whatever those things might be. I think there's a lot of stories written off stuff like that.
Did little
Wow.
John grow up to say, "Yeah"?
I don't know, did he? Or Malachi?
I'm talking about Little John, man. I'm sorry, my
Lil
bad.
John.
Yeah.
Here's the last question. I'm looking at the time. Goals should be created with another person, and you need an accountability partner.
Yes and yes.
Should be created by another person.
Created
Explain
with,
that part.
created with another person.
With. I kind of want you to explain the with, Ryan. Here's why I'm thinking.
Mhm.
Because, someone like yourself, someone, you know, you I am assuming that you have gotten to a certain level of life to where you know how to come up with a goal, you understand about goal settings, you know how to implement the goal, you know how to track the goal, and you know how to get the outcome you want, you know how to build the systems, you know how to do all of these different things.
Mhm.
So do you still need, because, and I'm using you, but I think that there are a lot of people who think that they know all of these things as well,
Sure.
right? So does that person need to should be creating their goals with another person, or does someone get to a point to where they're educated and or knowledgeable enough to where they can create their goals on their own and they don't necessarily need an accountability partner?
That person, yes. Me, yes. I just want to do it that way. That's all.
Okay.
So yeah, yes, yes, absolutely, yeah.
Uh-huh.
Right. Because when you create it with another person, they in turn become the accountability partner. See, I think a lot of times what we do is we build our goals in the dark by ourselves in the closet, in my own room. And then, we may let some people know what I'm working on. But you know what I don't have? I don't have the accountability. So when I quit, I don't have anybody to be in my ear say, "Hey man, what's going on? That's not what you said. Let's go back and look at what we talked about." Yeah, you don't have that. So if I create it by myself and then I decide to quit at it, the only person I'm accountable to is myself. But if I create it with somebody else, now I have that accountability department that when I feel like I want to quit, I'm like, "Nah, bruh, come on, we got to keep going." Right? I don't care who you are. I don't care how much you think you know about goal setting. I don't even care how consistent you think you are. At the end of the day, there are certain things you just don't want to do. And here's the best part about it: the thing you don't want to do is probably the thing you need to do. So at the end of the day, that's where that other person comes in at, because you are avoiding doing that thing. And it's inevitable. I don't care who you are. No one is exempt from what I just said. You are avoiding doing that thing. And in a lot of cases, what ends up happening is not only do you run from the thing, but sometimes we run from the people that will hold us accountable to the thing that we said that we wanted to do. That,
Mm-hmm.
that's across the board. So again, should it be created with another person? Yes. And you need an accountability partner. Absolutely.
Okay. Where am I going to go with here? To the person who is looking to get some help with something. Like I said, we got another couple of weeks and we've been new year. People going to start setting all these goals and stuff like that. Someone may not have money for a coach. Where do you think someone can start, you know, learning about, goal setting? Yeah, we can talk about this platform, but outside of here, if they're looking, say, that they're in their neighborhood and they like, yeah, Big Mama, she know all about X, Y, and Z. You know what I mean? About cooking, and I want to be a better cook. So I'm gonna reach out to Big Mama, you know what I mean, or whatever. But just anything that someone is looking to get some help and support with, finding somebody to create goals with, and then have an accountability partner too. Like, where the heck do I go? I'm a young man, I'm a young woman, I don't know where to go, and I need some goals. Where can I go?
Do you want the honest answer or the political answer or both?
I want both. Give the people both.
Okay. The political answer is find someone who was willing to sacrifice something for you, sacrifice their own time, sacrifice their own energy and efforts, sacrifice what they're working on for the sake of your betterment. That's the political answer. Now, you want the honest answer?
Mm-hmm.
The problem starts with what you say you don't have. Because this is what I do know: people find a way to do the thing that they need to do. If your child ended up getting locked up for something, you would sacrifice something for the sake of that child. I don't think there's one person who heard that story just now that I just shared that would deny any version of it. Well, there's an inner child in you that is locked up inside of your own limiting beliefs. Let me say it again. There's an inner child in you that is locked inside of your limiting beliefs. So, what are you willing to sacrifice to free that child? And until you answer that question, you're always going to look for somebody to sacrifice their child for you. That doesn't make sense, because then you'll go through life expecting that. That's the very definition of entitlement. It's not that I'm not recognizing the contributing factor, but that's not the determining factor.
Mm. Yeah, I liked it, man. I definitely appreciate that, man. But I'm looking at the time. We over just about a couple minutes, so I definitely appreciate everybody for being here. I thought we were gonna dig a little bit more into Tamika and Tyrone and Malachi, but if Tamika and them, if they watching, you know what I mean, they got some good information right here. So definitely appreciate you for the conversation, the chat. If you hadn't already, hit that like button, share button, and all of those things. What else you got for us, Coach?
Hey man, last point. I
Mhm.
know, and I've been saying this for quite some time, and I'm gonna keep saying it. I know some of the things I say may sound or feel harsh. I get it. I understand it. I, at one point in time, was on the receiving end of some words that didn't necessarily feel good. But the reason why it didn't feel good, because it wasn't congruent with my current circumstance. Like, how do I get across this river, but I don't have a boat and I can't swim? Well, I mean, what do you have? Go get a boat, go get something, go pay somebody to take you across the river, do something. Don't sit there and talk about what I don't have or what. Those are excuses, and I can't stress that piece enough. I've been that excuse maker for years, and at some point you get tired of making excuses, you get tired of seeing people do things that you know good and well that if you had the quote unquote resources that you believe or think or assume that they had, because all of this is you making up right now. I'm telling you, I'm speaking through the lens of younger me. All of this I made up. I believed that these people had the resources, assumed that they did, but I never took the time to talk to them about their story. And when I did, I found out something different, that they didn't have it. In fact, they stopped making excuses and they gave up something that was of lesser value for something that was of greater value, the dream that they had before them. And I think too many of us sacrifice our dream on the altar of our limiting beliefs. I don't have or I can't.
Yeah. Man, I ain't adding nothing to that. I think that was a good way to end the show, man. Next Tuesday, we'll see y'all. See y'all this Friday. Hearts of Men. And I think that's it. You got anything?
No, man, I'm good. Y'all enjoy
All
y'all.
right.
Happy
All right,
Turkey.
folks. Yeah, happy Turkey Day and all that stuff in a couple of days. Peace out. Have a good one. Peace.